The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of our Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Y'all started from PBS Kids, what you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video. Let's face it, indigenous representation in animation in general sucks. There's barely any of it, and the one that we do have is not good. Overall, Hollywood has failed indigenous people when it comes to representation from them, with the exception of a few films from the 1900s. But we are focusing today on the animation department because it's almost just non-existent. Early during Disney December, we discussed how Disney gave Pocahontas the Marilyn Monroe treatment. I will have the link to that down below. But here's a basic breakdown of that. Marilyn Monroe basically has been used for Hollywood's gain. They have made more money off of her than money that she actually had. People continue to make up fan fiction about her and sell her name. They basically are selling Marilyn for their benefit and just don't give a fuck about her legacy or her as a person. They just know that they can make money from her. Disney has done the exact same thing with an indigenous woman named Pocahontas. They literally fucked up her entire story, and this is sad because so many people think that the Disney 5 fanfiction version of Pocahontas was her life, and that is just extremely incorrect, and that woman deserves better. Disney is in the works of talking about they want to make a live action Pocahontas, and if you're gonna do that, y'all need to tell her story accurately. And if you're not gonna do that, you're just gonna redo what you did in the 90s, don't fucking touch it. Let that woman rest. In the early to mid 1900s, Disney really enjoyed making fun of people of color. Like, I love Lady and the Tramp, but that scene with the cats was extremely unacceptable. And I love Peter Pan. I love the story Peter and Wendy. Literally read that book in middle school, and ever since then, I have had a big love for both pirates and fairies. Captain Hook was my favorite thing about Peter Pan. But I would be fucking lying if I said I liked everything about this story. And I am aware that Disney makes changes to their stories when they turn them into movies, where they would leave out very disturbing factors in a lot of these fairy tales and well-known stories. They would change them to make them a bit more kid-friendly. Now, mind you, the Native American aspects of Peter Pan, which we need to be more specific on because these were not Native American people, because this shit did not take place in America. We will just be referring to them as indigenous people. The indigenous aspects of this book always made me a bit uncomfortable and very much uneasy. And in the movie, it was very much hard to sit through. Look, when I watch Peter Pan, I just be skipping through all of those parts and I just go to the shit with Captain Hook because that's just what I want to see. Because this movie aged horribly. Like Dumbo, Peter Pan aged like milk. But mostly because of how disrespectful it was toward indigenous people. As you guys know, we are coming to the end of the 24-day sale. Everything for my website is 35% off. Use code HOTSPOT35 for 35% off your order at harriyannahook.com. Discount applied at checkout. You gotta put it in there yourself. It's not automatic. Valid until Christmas Eve. Now let's go ahead and continue on with today's video. I'm sorry y'all, I'm adjusting my dress because it's a little uncomfortable at the moment. But now it's time for a breakdown. I need to actually break down what actually happened within this scene so we can get going, and also because YouTube copyright is a bitch and this is what I'm using to pay my bills. So let's go. So in the movie, the Native American tribe in it, when, like I said, this is the last time we will call them Native Americans because this is not America. Peter Pan starts off in fucking London. And then they go to Neverland, which is basically a made-up country. So from this point forward, we will be calling them the indigenous people because that is what they are. How y'all messed that up that bad? But anyways, so basically they get captured by the indigenous tribe, and that we see that they are in this stereotypical body paint, and descendants ended up doing this shit too, thinking nobody caught it. No, that scene was racist. Y'all ain't slick. Y'all are not. So as they are sitting in this circle, basically passing around a smoking joint pipe thingy, they ask the indigenous people, and they're talking to them, and then they ask, why is the red man red? Which you should never say to an indigenous person. Do not call an indigenous person red, because that is in fact racist. So next thing we know, they perform a song that explains why. It has a very much racist slur in it that begins with an I. Don't say that shit. And then basically Tiger Lily is kidnapped by the white pirates, and then, you know, she's saved, and that's just it. It's not good. And while they are just in a short part of the movie, it's a big fat ass problem. Overall, as much as I love the story of Peter Pan, these people they should not have kept this shit in the story, okay? This is something that Disney, you know how Disney always wants to make the changes? This is one that they most definitely should have changed and took into consideration. But like I said, these were white people at this time period in America. It was very much normalized to be mean to people of color within their work, so that's basically what they were doing. I never liked the indigenous aspect of Peter Pan at all. Mainly because their only purpose within this story, they were portrayed in negative ways. Because in the scene, like I said, the indigenous people are just smoking and passing a pipe around. And for those of you guys who don't know, that is a racist stereotype of indigenous people, that they are heavy smokers. So when you look at their designs and you see that pretty much everything about them is just over dramatized. But we need to talk about the comparison to the rest of the indigenous people's designs and Tiger Lily's, because it's a concern. Because if you look at Tiger Lily versus everyone else, she looks drastically different. Like, she's smaller, she has lighter skin, and she has a softer approach about her. Like, she's quiet. Her voice actor in the movie barely did much of anything, and she's not even credited. While the rest of the indigenous people look like that. We know that it's racist already, but it is very much colorist and featurist just as well. It's both colorism and featureism, because as she is the princess, and you know how Disney is when they go about their princess characters. They have to be small, tan, skinny, light, sweet. That is basically what Tiger Lily was, but it sucks that they couldn't even really give her much of a voice. But anyways, she is the princess of the tribe, and she is made out to be lighter in both skin and personality, along with having smaller features, while the rest of the people in her tribe are dark with big noses, big lips, and are very much loud. And also their song, I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure it's a minstrel show. I'd say it was giving very much minstrel show. What exactly? Because I don't know if there's a word for it or not, but it was racist. It was very much racist. You know what minstrel shows are, when white people dress up as black people and parade around like that? That's what this was, but done with indigenous people. And the song is fucking ass. Like, no. Now, the indigenous people within this film are treated like objects to laugh at instead of just people like the white ones. Even the mermaids in this damn movie are treated more like people, and they're not even fucking humans. And then we have Tiger Lily, where they basically toned down her features as to make her appeal more to the white gaze. And guess what? She ends up getting kidnapped by white men. We did not really get any indigenous rep again from Disney animation into the 1900s with Pocahontas. And I literally made an entire video about why that movie should not exist in the first place. Highly recommend. I will have the link to it down below. As this scene with the indigenous people should not have been in this movie at all. And I don't care how catchy you think What Makes the Red Man Mad is. It's offensive. I don't care how bad you love that scene as a kid. It is bad for the culture. Hi everyone, the captain here. I just wanted to get on here real quick and tell you guys thank you so much for your support. I have gotten so much fan art from you guys, and I've met plenty of y'all in person at the conventions that I have been at. And also thank you guys so much for coming to the panels that I host. It means so much to me. You guys are so great. I appreciate every little last bit of support you guys give me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can say thank you 100 times, but I truly do mean it. Thank you. animation sucks really, really bad when it comes to indigenous representation, and the best indigenous representation that we have seen came this year in Wendell and Wild. And guess what? She was only in the movie for 5 minutes, and I loved every minute of her. And also, I think it's time that we drag Miraculous Ladybug a little bit, because this is something that has been bothering the fuck out of me since I watched Miraculous New York. And because it premiered on Disney Channel first, this is the first place where it premiered. Disney is the distributor for the show. Disney likes to claim Miraculous because it makes them a lot of money as them being the distributor. So let's go. Miraculous Ladybug. Y'all did a terrible job with indigenous representation, and at this point, you should not be surprised when people of color want you to stop putting them in your show because you don't know how to act right. Basically, with Miraculous Ladybug, this is the first time in probably for fucking ever that we have gotten an indigenous character. Very much happy about it. Her name was Jessica, but what they did with Jessica was very much weird because one, what was so difficult about giving Jessica an indigenous mother? Because also they did this shit with the black girl too that was basically like her sister. Why couldn't they have a black mom and an indigenous mother? And people were like, oh, it doesn't matter because they were lesbians. Yeah, but why couldn't y'all make them lesbians of color? So that shit right there was already like a red flag. Why couldn't y'all give Jessica an indigenous parent? I understand they're adopted. I really need you guys to go up and do your research about white women that be adopting children of color. Please go do your research about it. And I know not all of them are like that, but that is something that we really need to start talking about more, because it's very much tragic and drastic. But we already have that one aspect right there too. Next thing I know, the white ladies basically forced Jessica and her black sister Aeon to be superheroes. They didn't ask for this shit. They didn't want any of that. And basically this entirety of the New York special is basically a black girl and indigenous girl being brutalized. But it really fucking makes me mad because we already have the problem with Aeon. Aeon, I have talked about the problem with the black girl for the longest. Part of her not even being human. Miraculous has a big issue with dehumanizing black girls. That's a whole nother thing. But we're here to focus on Jessica because, like I said, this is the first time in for fucking ever that we finally get an indigenous girl on our screen from something that is very much popular, because there are smaller independent projects out here that have indigenous girls, and hopefully I can put together a roster of like indigenous representation that I can find, because it's very much needed, and I think we all should be engaging with these stories. But you know, we had Pocahontas, we had that shit that was up in Peter Pan, and now we have Miraculous Ladybug, which is one of the most popular cartoons in the world. We get an indigenous character, and this is what the fuck you guys do to her. Y'all literally put that little girl in pain the entire fucking time. Like, it was just irritating. And we were talking about how Miraculous Ladybug is a show that is very much offensive without them even realizing it. Because we were talking about they want to do the world specials for the sake of diversity. I'm sorry, but do not do world specials and you're just constantly gonna have white people harassing the people of color everywhere they fucking go. Because that is what happened with Jessica. I swear, Miraculous owes it up to Jessica and owes it up to indigenous people. I'm sorry, y'all deserved a much better character. She deserved a much better story. They fucked up big time with her character. And I already knew this was gonna be on some bullshit when I was doing my research and they showed who Jessica Mothers was. Saw that she was a white woman. I already knew it was gonna be fucked. I'm sorry y'all if I got really mad and extremely heated, because I didn't even, that was just completely off the script, because I just get so upset and I get so angry. Like, I even wrote an article about it on my website, harriyannahook.com, if you guys would like to see. But it just pained me so much how we barely get much of any indigenous rep, especially within our current popular media that we have. And then when we did, they basically just had that girl brutalized this entire time. Like I said, Miraculous Ladybug is one of those shows where we were talking about the show needs to do better about its diversity. Yeah, they need to actually have people of color working in the areas where they fucking matter, because that is the reason why the show is awful as hell. You're looking for a show that has great representation and diversity. Miraculous Ladybug is not the show for you. I adore Jessica. I love her. I need somebody to write her character much better and give her another story, because this shit was not it. They failed her and her sister. Animation overall just needs to be very much more careful when it comes to indigenous representation. And y'all want to know the main solution to this problem always? Y'all already know the answer. Get indigenous creators. They are out here. They are very much willing to work. Try your best. Look for them. They most definitely want to get more involved. Y'all should go out here and seek them. Indigenous people out here want to tell their stories. They want you guys to check out their work. They want to be seen more within our industry because it is severely lacking. I can't even really name 10 indigenous fictional characters on my hand. If I name everybody in Pocahontas, probably there. If I name all of them indigenous people in Peter Pan, probably there too. I can barely name 10 indigenous characters. Animated specifically. That is not a good thing. Overall, there needs to be much better representation when it comes to people of color, especially within animation, but indigenous people are the ones that most definitely need it a lot because they barely don't got much to choose from, and then the shit that they have is just disrespectful as hell. I'm telling y'all, please, I know Wonder the Wild, that woman was only in it for 5 minutes, but it was just so nice and peaceful to finally see an indigenous woman actually portrayed in a great way. I wish the movie kept her in it a lot more, but the fact that 5 minutes in that movie was better than almost everything else I talked about in this video, that was much longer. It's painful and it's just sad, and we gotta do better. We gotta do better as a whole. Like I said, and a lot of y'all don't even realize that you'll be saying things that are insensitive to indigenous people. Like, stop calling indigenous people Indian. They are not Indian. They're not Indian, y'all. Please stop saying that. Stop saying red when you're referring to these people. Like, it's a lot of things that people just necessarily don't quite understand is insensitive. Stop dressing up in them Native American Party City costumes. Stop doing that shit. Stop wearing feathers in your hair and saying you're dressing up as a Native person. Like, just quit doing that. So much of this is just kind of basic research and basic of understanding. If y'all want to do better about not being offensive to indigenous people, please listen to them. That's the main issue with all of this. Shut up and listen to them. Just shut up and listen to them. The indigenous people have been telling y'all that Peter Pan was offensive for the longest, but because y'all love that movie so damn much, you don't want to own up to it and accept it. It's harmful. Indigenous people went off about how much they fucking hate Pocahontas, but you think it's beautiful. Baby, listen to them. Please sit down and listen to indigenous people when they are talking about the issues that pertain to them with animation. That is all you have to do. Shut up, listen, and understand.
Girls will just blow your mind. Buttercup like villains 3 at a time. Bubbles will smile while kicking your butt, and Blossom will lead them out of their rut. Cherish and Powerpuff, 2 of a kind. Both wanna save the world before bedtime. From Townsville, Memphis, New York to LA, the Powerpuff Girls are just here to stay.